Well, hey, you guys, how are you doing? This is Heidi St. John. Welcome to the Heidi St. John podcast. I'm glad that you guys are here. Today is Mailbox Monday, and I love the questions that you send me. And today I'm going to spend the entire episode answering listener questions. Stick around. I think you're going to be encouraged. Well, I hope you guys are doing good wherever you are. Hey, thank you for listening to the show. It is such an encouragement to us to know that so many of you are listening and that you're being encouraged. We hear stories all the time of you getting off the bench and onto the battlefield. And I want to just remind you that if you have an off the bench story that you'd like to send me, I would love to read it. And so you can send it to me by going to HeidiSt.John.com/Mailbox Monday. That's the way to do that. HeidiSt.John.com/Mailbox Monday. If you've got a question, if you've got a show idea, a question for myself or for Dr. Mark or for Pastor Phil Hopper, that's the way to submit those to us. And we love to hear from you. Thank you guys for leaving reviews for the show and for sharing it with your friends and family. It's an encouragement to us to know that this show is blessing you. If you are being blessed by the podcast and you would like to financially support it, we would greatly encourage you to do that, and we would be so thankful for that. I'll link back to how you can do that in the show notes today. Every little bit helps, and we really appreciate that financial support. Also, you can help us by visiting our sponsors, and I'm really thrilled to be working with my friends, Doctors Mark and Michelle Sherwood from the Functional Medical Institute. And listen, no matter where you live, you guys can visit the Functional Medical Institute today online and connect with Doctors Mark and Michelle, and you can start feeling better today. I have been working with Mark myself personally now for several years, and he's been a tremendous blessing to me. The way that you connect with him is simply by going to Sherwood.tv, and the Sherwoods are going to be able to reach out to you from that link, and you can see some of my favorite items. If you'd like to, you can use the coupon code Heidi, Heidi, and get 15% off. So whether it is that you're purchasing Kingdom Fuel or maybe you're getting Kingdom Skin, I know a lot of you have been asking about what I use on my skin, the water bottle that I use, the hydrogen water, all of it. You can find that stuff by going to Sherwood.tv. So thank you to the Functional Medical Institute for sponsoring the Heidi St. John podcast. We really love those guys, and I know you guys will love them too. So check them out at Sherwood.tv. Couple other things that I'd love to talk to you guys about right before I jump into all of your awesome questions. I'm going to be headed to Pensacola, Florida this weekend for the Extraordinary Women Conference. If you need a shot in the arm, a little bit of encouragement, come on out. I love to hug your neck and just hear what the Lord is doing in your life. I will be traveling with Melissa this time, and we're going to bring some awesome new merch. And we've got some really great statement shirts out this year. My favorite one is a black and white t-shirt that says "Born for This." This is just, I think this is the message for this generation, to remember who you are. When people see you, remember that you were born for this time in human history, and I hope that encourages you. I will also have just a limited number of my awesome sculptures with me. I've been talking about this on the show, and I want to keep saying it. This little image right here of what it actually looks like to get off the bench and onto the battlefield in your fight for your children and for your family is very beautifully summed up in this gorgeous sculpture, and you can get it right now by going to HeidiSt.John.com. Listen, I love this. This is an illustration of Psalm 127, and you can see the husband and a wife out on a battlefield. What a great gift for Mother's Day or for Father's Day or for a birthday, or just because you want to remember what this is all about. Every battle that you're facing in your life has a spiritual component to it, every single one. And God would have you fight with joy on the battlefield. He would have you not grow weary in well-doing on the battlefield. And this sculpture I have had, was made for me by a young man named Mark Dunnigan when he was a student. I've had this now for over 10 years, and it stays, when it's not here in the studio with me, it is in a glass case so that people can see it when they come to Firmly Planted Family and visit the Resource Center here. It is the most powerful reminder of the battle that we are in. And the detail of the brand new sculpture that we have had made for you is a replica of this. Actually, you guys can kind of see the size of this one. I'll pick it up for you so you can see it. You can see the size of this one. The replica is not quite this big, but it's pretty good size. And on the front of it, we have had engraved Psalm 127, that your children have been given to you like arrows in the hands of their warrior parents. So the detail is amazing. The shield has Psalm 127 engraved on it. This, of course, is the original. And so this one has the St. John name on it because it was made for me and my husband, Jay. So just a beautiful reminder of the spiritual battle that you're in. And also, I hope, a reminder to you not to grow weary in well-doing, because you guys, there is a reward. And the Apostle Paul said that he had no greater joy than to know that his kids are walking in the truth. Listen, it's the most important thing you're ever going to do, right? Apart from following God after your kids are gone, is to train up your children in the way they should go in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. So if you're going to be in Pensacola this weekend, coming out and say hello to me, pick up some awesome merch. I'd love to hug your neck and hear what God's doing in your life. Right after that, I'll be in Dayton, Ohio for Teach Them Diligently, one of my favorite conventions in the country. And then right after that, I'll be in Spokane, Washington. Then I'm going to head to Sturbridge, Massachusetts for Mass Hope. I haven't been to Mass Hope in a long time. Really looking forward to getting out to the New England area. Hope you guys will come out and say hello. If you want to see the rest of my schedule, go over to HeidiSt.John.com/events, and you can see where I will be, and registration links to those events are always linked there. So I hope you guys will come out and say hello and pick up some awesome merch, and let's get acquainted. All right, I'm going to jump into your questions. Anonymous in Alabama. Hey, Heidi, I love you and I love your show. Well, I love you too, Anonymous. Thanks for writing in. I'm a mom to 5. Along our journey, I've miscarried 6 times. Each time, my doctor suggested a D&C to prevent infection and control bleeding. I did that. I grieved those babies and wanted them so badly. I second-guessed my decision, and I had limited knowledge of how similar a miscarriage, D&C, and an abortion are. I am infuriated when someone calls what I did abortion. Do you have any words of comfort for me? I love the Lord, and I believe those souls are with him. I just wish I could have given them more dignity and a memorial. All right, so for those of you who are not familiar with a D&C refers to the terms dilation and curettage, which describe the process of dilating the cervix and removing the contents of the uterus with a spoon-shaped tool known as a curette or a vacuum instrument. This is also obviously used in an abortion. And I have a lot of things I want to say about this, but I want to address your hurt first, because I think that's the most important component of your question. When your child passes away naturally and you have to undergo a D&C, that is neither an indignity to your child, nor is it a sin issue. There's nothing that you did that was wrong. And when you say you wish you could have given your child, more dignity, you wish that didn't have to happen. Can I just say right now that little baby, and I believe this with all my heart, as soon as that little baby passed from this world, they passed in the presence of Jesus. And just like, any kind of an accident or any kind of a sorrow that we go through as it relates to the death of a loved one, the enemy would have you carry that, and he would have you feel guilt and shame. And there is nothing for you to feel guilty about or be shamed about when it comes to having to have a D&C after a natural miscarriage. Abortion advocates across major outlets are constantly repeating this talking point and this falsity that pro-life laws prevent women from receiving appropriate miscarriage treatment. And some have even claimed that not providing immediate D&Cs for miscarriage is the fault of pro-life laws, which of course isn't true at all. And I looked at Live Action just to kind of see what their thoughts were on this as it relates to the safety and efficacy of D&C procedures after miscarriage. And they say that according to OBGYNs, there is no immediate risk of infection unless certain complications arise during the process of miscarriage. And so miscarriage, by the way, is not an abortion. And you can thank Planned Parenthood and all the ridiculous people who are trying to injure the pro-life movement by saying that pro-lifers want to make miscarriage illegal. That's so dumb. It's so dumb it defies description. Miscarriage is not an abortion, and miscarriage treatment is not considered an induced abortion because although they often use the same types of treatment, induced abortion carries the intent to kill a living baby before removing him from his mother's body, and miscarriage carries the intent to remove a baby who dies naturally in the mother's body. So it's only abortion if the baby is alive. I hate to have to even say that, but that's the truth. A miscarriage, and listen, Anonymous, my heart goes out to you. I have also had a miscarriage. I actually went in for what should have been a routine procedure to listen to my baby's heartbeat. I was by myself because I thought everything was going fine. So my husband wasn't with me, and normally he would have been, actually he wouldn't have been at a routine appointment. He was at work, and that's the case this time. I went in coming to the end of my 3rd month of pregnancy, and this would have been my 2nd appointment. The first appointment was great. Everything looked great. This was the second one. I expected again to see my baby and a heartbeat and all the things. They could not find a heartbeat, and it is devastating. It's devastating for a mother who loves her baby and wants to give birth to it to see that that baby is no longer living, no longer viable, to not see a heartbeat. And so I just want to wrap my arms around you kind of virtually through the screen right now and just say, I hurt with you. I know that hurts, but nothing that you did. I don't believe that having a DNC after a miscarriage is wrong. And so I just want to, release you from that in Jesus' name. Also, it's important to note that sometimes miscarriages can take days. And that's what happened with me. They said, this is what you can expect in the next several days. And I was told that if I didn't pass the remains of my baby within a certain number of days, that I would need to come back in and have a DNC performed. And every miscarriage is tragic. Actually, every abortion is tragic. The loss of innocent human life is always tragic. But in a miscarriage, the hope is that your body will naturally progress so that the woman's body can complete the process without the assistance of drugs or surgeries. And when it doesn't happen and you had to have that dilation and curettage, that's all right. And it hurts and it's sad, but it's not a sin issue. You haven't done anything wrong. And I hope that you can be freed from that, because the enemy would have you feel terrible about it, and God would have you say, no, it's all right. So I just wanted to throw that out there for you, having been there myself, and just say, hey, you're loved. And I really do believe that those babies are with the Lord. Katie in Maryland says, can you tell me the pros and cons to red light therapy? All right. Listen, guys, listen. I'm going to try to link back to, and maybe Melissa, you can put this in the notes. I want to link back to some of my favorite red light therapies on Amazon. You may have heard that I have a red light mask that I use. Phenomenal, by the way, for getting rid of age spots and for treating fine lines and wrinkles. You're going to look a little bit like, something out of a scary movie for about 15 or 20 minutes. But I do my red light mask. Typically, I will do it 4 times a week for about 15 to 20 minutes. Sometimes I do what's called a pulse therapy red light on that mask, and that literally stimulates almost like a breathing motion inside of your cells, the way that I understand it, and it draws fluid in and pushes fluid out of those cells, stimulates the mitochondria, which of course is the healing, the powerhouse of the cell. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. I also have a red light that I sit in front of 6 days a week. Generally in the morning when I'm reading my Bible, I'm usually doing it sitting in front of a red light. And I also have a heated red light that I use for my back. So I'm a super fan. I love red light therapy. I really do think it helps. Red light can be absorbed into the skin to a depth of about 8 to 10 millimeters. So there's a really great article from Dr. Axe. I love this. I'll try to link back to it in the show notes today if I can remember that. So it has positive effects on cellular energy and multiple nervous systems and metabolic processes. This type of light is considered low level because it works at an energy density that's compared to other forms of laser therapies. And so there's lots of really great benefits to red light therapy: lower inflammation, chronic joint disorders, which is typically why I use my red light. I have had since I was very, very young, pretty significant issues with my joints that was there long before I turned, 50. But it can promote the healing of wounds. I had a surgery a couple of years ago, and I very faithfully used I sat in front of a heated red light for every day for months to try to help that heal up, and it worked great. Also helps with neurological disorders, helps with pain. It's been found to help promote stronger immunity and longevity by increasing cell proliferation and migration, as well as modulating levels of cytokines, growth factors, and other inflammatory mediators. I cannot say enough good things about red light therapy. The main thing, and you've heard me talk about this with Dr. Mark on my show, that it does is that it increases energy levels because it promotes the growth and the energy from the mitochondria of the cells, which is like the powerhouse, the engine of the cells in your body. It also stimulates DNA and RNA synthesis. So many good things that it does. I have a friend who is going through cancer treatment right now, and she is using red light therapy. And NASA has shown that red light therapy technology can successfully reduce symptoms experienced by cancer patients, including painful side effects caused by radiation and chemotherapy. So there's just so many great things. I have another really good friend that underwent a knee surgery recently, and I was like, girlfriend, put your knee in front of this red light, and it's amazing. It's anti-aging. It's got great effects for hair loss, promotes healthy sleep, it moves your mood. I could go on and on and on and on. And so I'll link back to some of my favorite ones. You guys do, there's also red light therapy versus blue light. And I have been looking into that. The mask that I use for my face also has blue light, which is shown to reduce acne and breakouts. I've never really had a problem with acne, but there's other things that blue light therapy does too. If you get a really good mask, I think I got a pretty decent one. It will give you the option of different kinds of infrared therapy. So red light versus blue light, really, really fascinating stuff. Blue light is more commonly used at home. And its main use, like I said before, is the treatment of acne, psoriasis, things like that. So I am a super fan. I hope you guys will check it out. I will link back to some of my favorite ones in the show notes today. Anonymous in Oklahoma says, my husband and I have been married for 35 years. 25 years ago, my husband was unfaithful to me more than once with more than one person. Oh, I'm so sorry. We moved past it, raised our family, have been involved in church, etc. Our kids are grown now and married. Recently, my husband has started guarding his phone and will not leave it lying around. I discovered that he opened a WeChat account, and when I look at it, I see he's getting information about Bitcoin. I also saw that he's opened a DuckDuckGo account, which is used for secret browsing. When I asked him about it, he said he was just getting information, but why is he hiding it? And he's acting nervous. Heidi, even if it's not another woman, I am having these same feelings of betrayal creep in again. Well, listen, Anonymous, I can understand why. Knowing that your husband has wounded you in this way, he should be doing everything he can to be extra, extra, extra transparent with you, knowing that you will always, and listen, you guys, this is just the truth. When someone is unfaithful inside of marriage, even when there is a reconciliation, there is always the lingering doubt that maybe this could happen again. And so this is a cautionary tale to every single person who is listening to this. If you have been in any way unfaithful to your spouse, you should be going the extra mile to alleviate some of that hurt and heartache and the idea that they could be the victim of that kind of betrayal again. So I guess my encouragement to you, first of all, I think you need to have a very, very honest conversation with your husband. I would let him know, I love you, but man, I'm having flashbacks. I got PTSD from this. I mean, the fact that he cheated on you more than once with more than one person, that's the kind of stuff that lasts for the rest of your life. And so if he's acting like this, shoot fire. I'd be nervous too. So my first inclination is just to say, you got to have an honest conversation with him. If he's not willing to have that open and honest conversation with you, then I think you need to get counseling. I think you need to get some help. I would be talking to the pastor at your church. Don't let this thing fester because the enemy wants it. Even if he's not doing anything wrong, the enemy would want you to think that he is and then create that separation, that division between a husband and a wife. You've heard me talk with my friend Kent Darcy at the show a couple of times about adults whose parents get divorced, so when they're much older. I'm thinking of your children who are grown and married now. But if your marriage doesn't survive, I promise you it has lasting effects, generational effects, even on grown children. So get the help that you need and reach back out to me again. Let me know how it goes. Tanya in California says she's in her final year of homeschooling starting this fall. Congratulations, Tanya. I had the honor of graduating my first child back in 2021. Those were crazy times and we were all healthy, but I've recently been diagnosed with breast cancer. At 47, the clock is ticking for me. I will be meeting with doctors this week to discuss our preemptive treatment plan. So our final year of homeschooling, where we should be looking at my son's final college campus tours and making preparations for his graduation, will be plagued with surgeries. I know God will give me the strength to get through this, but what can I do to ensure that we finish our final year of homeschooling strong? All right, Tanya, a couple things that that come to my mind. First of all, I'm believing for healing for you. So that's the first thing. God is the healer. Jehovah Rapha is his name. And I know that God can heal you. And when you pray with that kind of belief. The other thing that I think is really important for you to know is that you don't need the guilt of not being able to do the thing that you want to do or that you would normally do for your child's graduation and looking at college campus tours and all those things. This is something that has happened to you, not something that you have brought on yourself, not something that you would have chosen, not something that you would have chosen for your child or for you. And I think your son probably knows that. Mothers are absolutely the easiest people on the face of the earth to guilt. We are guilted into, listen, my kids can make me feel guilty by just looking at me sideways. And I'm like, shoot, I did something wrong. And I want to encourage you away from that, because what you don't need on top of the cancer treatments and surgeries is the guilt of feeling like you're not doing enough. God's going to give you exactly the energy that you need to do exactly the thing that you need to do in exactly the right time. And I would probably have a conversation with my son. In fact, I'd encourage you to do that. Maybe your husband needs to be there too. And just say, this makes me so sad. One of the things that makes me sad about having cancer is it's affecting the things that I really wanted to do for you. And I think that your son, it sounds like you've done a great job of raising your kids in your final year of homeschooling. Your son's an adult now. And he should be able to handle that like an adult. And my hope for you is that he will handle that with grace and maturity, and that you will feel the love of the Lord and just the arms of the Father wrapped around you in this final year of homeschooling. Listen, you made it to the end of homeschooling. You're in a very elite special club of women who are like, we made it to the end, and praise the Lord for that. And I'm proud of you, and I know your son is proud of you. Listen, I only have a couple of years left with my last child, and I'm telling you what, you guys have heard me say before, anyone can start strong. It's hard to finish strong, and I'm proud of you for finishing strong. God is going to give you the strength to get through it. Now, you just want to make sure that you don't let the enemy guilt you into things that God would never have spoken to you through his word or through his people, all right? So relax, rest, get healed. And I'm looking forward to seeing what God does with you in the months and years ahead. Jenny in Illinois. Okay, this is important. House Bill 2827 is before the state legislature right now in Illinois, and attacks are coming from homeschooling all over the nation. Stems from CRHE, the model bill, and you guys have heard me talk about that before. So I think it's really important. I've been talking about this for a really long time. The Committee for the Coalition for Responsible Home Education, these people hate homeschoolers, okay? They hate homeschooling, they hate homeschoolers. This is a group of people with a massive chip on their shoulder who are trying to make homeschooling more difficult. They say it's for responsible home education, and they just want to keep your kids safe. And I'm telling you what, these are kids who are throwing a fit. And it's frustrating, but that's what's happening. And so let's talk about this bill for just a second. So again, this is happening in Illinois, but as I said before, these types of attacks are happening all over the country. It's a really great reason for you to become involved and educated about what's happening in your state and to become a member of the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. Those guys are doing really, really great work. I'll link back to some of these. In fact, I'll link back to trackbill.com. And trackbill.com will let you log in anytime you want with the link that I'm going to put in there. And that link will take you directly to the bill so that you can see where it is at any given time. At the moment of this recording, House Bill 2827, which is a 45-page measure that would create new requirements for homeschooling families to report their educational activities to the authorities, has been assigned to the House Rules Committee but has not yet been scheduled for a hearing. So it still has a little bit way to go. Will Estrada, who's a friend of mine from HSLDA, contacted HSLDA members and allies to let them know that their calls and emails to Illinois legislators are having an effect. This is really good news. It's why I love HSLDA so much. Though assigned to the House Rules Committee, the House bill has not yet been scheduled for a hearing. So this is great. There's a video. I'll link back to that in the show notes today so you guys can see that video. On February 6th of this year, so not very long ago, about a month ago, this bill was introduced by Illinois State Representative Tara Costa Howard. As I said, it's a 45-page measure. Aside from seeking to make parents supply information about their child's identities and educations, which currently state law does not demand, this bill represents a troubling trend inspired by critics of homeschooling. So it's what I told you a moment ago, the Coalition for Responsible Home Education. They have this thing, and you guys have heard me talk about this with HSLDA President Jim Mason on my show. They have a Make Homeschool Safe Act, which is based on a worldview that basically says parents are inherently untrustworthy, that a parent cannot be trusted to make decisions that are in the best interest of their child. And it basically turns the parent from being naturally protective of their child to naturally aggressive toward their child. It's a terrible stance to take. Are there parents that are terrible parents? Yes. The vast majority of homeschooling parents are not that. All right. Are there some parents who homeschool their children who turn out to be abusive and awful? Yes. There are also parents in private schools who turn out to be abusive and awful, and parents in the public schools who turn out to be abusive and awful. To assert that because you are a homeschool parent, that makes you less trustworthy is just ridiculous. And the Coalition for Responsible Home Education is in contact with Illinois legislators, and they are promoting this bill to their constituents and to the media. So the text of the bill itself, this is really important. The text of the bill itself alleges that, as currently written, the laws of the state do not adequately protect homeschool children. And it adds that the copious regulations it advances are, quote, in the best interest of children to receive a safe and sufficient education. This is garbage. And within days of this bill being introduced, HSLDA has been working in tandem with the Illinois Christian home educators to rally members in opposition of this bill. So just a couple of the changes that are proposed by House Bill 2827. I've already told you annual notice, teacher qualifications. They want homeschooling parents to be required to hold a high school diploma or its equivalent. They want student portfolio reviews. This would permit local public school officials to demand to review samples of work by homeschooled students. This is just so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. The Coalition for Responsible Home Education, these guys, I'm telling you, big fat chip on their shoulder, and you're just crying to their mommy. And since they didn't get exactly what they thought they needed, they don't think you should have anything that you think your children need either, for goodness sake. More regulations, more information, severe penalties. Homeschooling parents who fail to comply with House Bill 2827's new mandates could face truancy charges. You guys have heard me on here with Zan Tyler talking about that. She was threatened with jail back in the 80s for homeschooling her kids. The Coalition for Responsible Home Education would take you back to the 80s and put you in jail too. Potentially, this would result in jail time or having your children forcibly removed from your home. The Coalition for Responsible Home Education is a menace to good parents. They know that they're a menace, and that is the point. So stay up with this thing. And reach out to your legislators, you guys. It absolutely matters. Every person that's within earshot of this show today, especially if you know somebody who lives in Illinois, get on the phone, call these guys. I'll link back to it in the show notes today. So if you want to know, how do I get a hold of my legislator and call and register my opposition to this insane intrusion into homeschooling parents' lives and into the lives of homeschool families, I'll link back to it in the show notes today. Jess in Indiana. Heidi, a 43-year-old homeschool mom of 4 teens. You seem to have had gracefully gone or entered through perimenopause. Yes, you can safely say I'm through that. I'm just beginning now and I want to get ahead of the game. No matter what, I just don't feel great anymore. I'm not on medications or supplements. You should change that. I would encourage you to reach out to Dr. Mark or Dr. Michelle Sirwood. Get your hormones checked. That's the very first thing that you should do. Have your hormones checked. I was amazed when I had my hormones checked and found that I had literally no testosterone. I mean, very little in my system. Turns out you need it. And so they put me on a testosterone cream. And guess what? I started sleeping better. I got my libido back, which my husband was really happy about. Your body goes through natural changes. Also, there's some phenomenal essential oils. If you're not checking out essential oils for perimenopause and menopause, I'll talk to Melissa about that and see if we can get some things linked back in the show notes to that as well. If you want to join my little oily family, you can go to HeidiSt.John.com/oils. The busy mom /oils is the way to get to that. Essential oils have really changed my life in a lot of ways. I do not go a day without using like 8 of them. And so I would encourage you to do that as well. So I am also on a supplement called Pregnenolone that's really helped me in menopause and perimenopause for sure. But I'm hesitating to tell you what supplements to take without you having a panel done on your hormones. That would be the very first thing that I would do. The other thing that I did years ago that literally changed my life was I found out that I had virtually no vitamin D in my system. I take 10,000 IUs a day now. I take 5,000 in the morning and I take 5,000 in the evening, and I rarely get sick anymore. And I think a lot of that is because I have a very robust protocol for essential oils that I use every day. And also I never miss taking my vitamin D. You want to get a great vitamin D, and I'll link back to a really good one in the show notes today. So by the way, you guys, people told me, I heard this, my whole life, it's going to be terrible. Getting older is going to be terrible. I just turned 55 the other day, and it's not that terrible. It's not great, but it's also not that terrible. So there are a lot of things that you can be doing. I would encourage you. You guys know I love the Sworkit app. For goodness sake, I use it. I try to use it, and I usually do at least 6 days a week. I oftentimes will take Sundays off, but just, 15 or 20 minutes of exercise where I'm doing, back strengthening and strengthening in my core, it's phenomenal. Really, really great. Sworkit is the name of that app. You can download it at the App Store, and I love it. So exercise, drink lots of water, get your hormones checked, get the sleep that you need, right? I mean, sadly, Heidi St. John go to bed pretty early now. But also, I wake up pretty early too. So get the sleep you need. If you don't get the sleep you need, then everything else you're doing is just going to be compromised right out of the gate. So when I get lots of sleep, I don't have my bottle with me because I just drank it before I started recording the show today. But I'm a super fan of hydrogen water. Even when I go to restaurants, I take that little hydrogen water generator with me, and I'll dump my restaurant water into that little bottle, and I will turn my regular water into hydrogen water. That really helps with inflammation as well. So check that out as well. If you guys haven't listened to my show with Drs. Mark and Michelle Sherwood that I did recently, we answered lots of listener questions, and one of them was related especially to hydrogen water. And I can't say enough good things, so check that out. All right, Anonymous in Pennsylvania. I'm coming to Pennsylvania. When am I coming to Pennsylvania? Wait, I'm going to look it up really quick so you guys know. I will be in Pennsylvania this year. I know it's coming up. June, Melissa's telling me. June, Elizabethtown. I'm going to be there. I don't have the date on my card, but I am going to be in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania for the CHAP convention. come out and see me, you guys, in June. Shortly after that, I'm going to be in Shelby, North Carolina for the Special Needs Expo. So if you've got a special needs child, you're not going to want to miss that. That's going to be a great event. My friend Terry McKee is organizing that. She does a great job. That's also happening in June, the Special Needs Expo. But I will be in Elizabethtown for the CHAP convention. So check it out. So Anonymous in Pennsylvania, come on up and say hello and say, I'm anonymous, and we'll both know, wink, wink, who we're talking about. All right. What do you do when homeschooling is not working out? Well, first of all, you come to the CHAP convention. That's the first thing you do. So find out the date, get it on your calendar. You can go to HeidiSt.John.com/events, and the date will be there for that. I have been homeschooling my 13-year-old daughter for 3 years. She has a difficult time with focus, attention, and staying on task. She's an arguer. She often makes things deliberately difficult. Last summer, we started classical conversations, and while it's been a challenging year, she is hanging on academically, and we celebrate this, but she is failing socially. All this said, I'm tired. I can't do another year with her. Every day is a stressor, and our relationship is suffering. So what do you say when homeschooling isn't working? All right, Anonymous, who is definitely going to come to the CHAP convention. I am planning on seeing you there, and you can come and tell me that you are anonymous, and I will hug your neck. It sounds like you need it. I have homeschooled, wait for it, 7 13-year-olds. 7. I have homeschooled 7 of them. And I've had some 13-year-olds who were really difficult and some 13-year-olds who were only mildly difficult, but they were all difficult on some level. And so the idea that if you send your child to school, she's not, it sounds to me like she's having issues with anger. She's arguing with you. She's making things difficult on purpose. The only thing that's going to happen if you send her to school and you stop homeschooling her is she's still going to do that. It's just you are not going to see it. The nice thing is, and I realize this is also a hard thing, is that you are seeing it and she's making you tired. And I have said many times, just jokingly to my husband, I've literally said over the years, oh my goodness, just put this on my tombstone. Here lies Heidi St. John. Motherhood killed her, right? Because it is so daily and there is so much pressure in it. There isn't an easy button. And I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm saying this to tell you that every single one of us have had trouble with our kids. In fact, I do not know. I would love to meet you. If you're a mom listening to this and you're like, I have never had a bad day with my kids. I've never had a bad season. I have had both bad days and bad seasons, entire seasons, which I was just like, this is going to be, I don't know if I'm going to survive this. This is why the Bible tells us not to grow weary in doing good. And homeschooling your child, you are doing something really good for her. And so I would encourage you, hang in there with her, maybe do some things with her that are not related to school. Maybe you're finding out what she likes to do. Maybe she likes to bake and you can bake with her. There's things that you can do that would strengthen your relationship, and I would encourage you toward that. Certainly, if your child is arguing with you, if she's being difficult, if she's, causing, it sounds to me like you're saying she's been deliberately difficult. That sounds like issues that you need to correct. That sounds like it warrants discipline. That sounds like it warrants you saying, you know what, when my kids were younger, we had this chart called the if-then chart. So you could say, if you're going to do this, then I'm going to do this. If this happens, then this will happen. This is just good parenting, and parenting is difficult. Parenting is challenging. If it wasn't, the enemy of your soul wouldn't care at all about what you do. But I'm here to tell you, you're a target of the enemy because God wants to use your child in the years to come. And right now, he's using you. Believe it or not, you are making an impact. I want you, if you're watching this video, Anonymous in Pennsylvania, I want you to look at the sculpture that I have here sitting on my desk. And I'm going to be bringing this, by the way, to Pennsylvania with me because I think this might be the most important thing that I've ever done in terms of merchandise and getting things into the hands of listeners and people that have been following my ministry for the last 20 years. This is what's going on. So the battle that your daughter's not the enemy. Okay, the enemy is the enemy. The battle that you are engaged in with your daughter right now is real. And the stakes are higher than you can possibly imagine. And the adversary wants you to be tired. He wants you to give up. He wants you to think, I just can't do this anymore. My relationship is suffering and every day is a stressor and I just don't want to do it. I am tired. I can't do one more year. That's the devil. And the reason I know it's the devil is because I'm having a similar struggle with a different situation in my life. And I was just telling the Lord the other day, I can't do this anymore. I just can't do it. And the Lord said, greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. And when I come before the Lord and I think I can't do this for one more second, either he's going to move me in a direction where I clearly see he's working, or he's going to hold on to my heart so that I can get through the situation that I'm in and stay the course. And I would just encourage you to stay the course, because I don't see the Lord in putting your child back into a public school. And I don't see the Lord in homeschooling running you over and leaving you on the side of the road for dead. That is not how he works. It's not how he works. Jesus said, take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find what? Rest for your soul. He said, you'll find rest. And I don't know a single homeschool mom who doesn't need that, right? And so sometimes, and I would say, the classical conversations, if you've got a child who struggles academically, that might not be the best program for you unless you are willing to adjust it, because I would hate to see you sacrifice your relationship with your daughter over an academic pursuit. The academics are important, don't get me wrong, but the relationship is more important. Teaching your daughter to follow Jesus is more important. Spending time with her is more important. I'm just preaching to myself right now because I've got one more kid at home. And I often feel like I'm failing her. And I often feel like, why am I doing this? It's not working. It's the devil, okay? So you and I are probably hearing the same voice. And my youngest daughter is 14 years old. Yours is 13. And I'm telling you, this is pretty normal what you're going through. So ask the Lord to give you the strength that you need to finish strong, because you're almost done. If you think about this, you've only got 4 years. You give this another, 3 more years from now, and there's a big difference between a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old. And you're going to see that. And it's going to come faster than you can possibly imagine. So when you tell me that homeschooling isn't working, I would just encourage you. I actually think homeschooling does work, but we got to do it in the strength that the Lord provides us, and not in our own strength and not in our own wisdom. The Lord wants you to make it to the end of your journey, fall flat on your face, lift your hands to the heavens and say, thank you, Jesus. That was all you. Thank you, Lord, for making sure I stayed out on the battlefield. Thank you for helping me when I felt like I'm going to drop the shield of faith. I can't hold it up one more second. Thank you for making sure that I kept that belt of truth buckled around my waist so that I could differentiate between the voice of truth and the voice of the enemy of my soul. You see, the voice of the enemy of your soul would speak to you in tones of condemnation. He'll push you down. But the Holy Spirit will lift you up, and the Holy Spirit will give you the direction and the guidance that you need. And so I'm going to be praying for you today. I hope you come to the CHAP convention. I hope you register to come out. These homeschool conventions, you guys, are life-saving. And I mean that. Even if it's not your physical life, it's going to be your spiritual life, your emotional life, your relationships with your children. These relationships are worth investing in. I hope you will come to a convention this summer and come out and say hello to me. Before I leave today, I want to remind you guys that this statue, this sculpture, this beautiful sculpture that was hand-drawn by my friend Mark Dunnigan, is available now, and you can find it at HeidiSt.John.com. When you get there, just click on the store, and we will be featuring this. Also, we've got some great new merchandise, a new t-shirt that says "Born for This." You guys should wear that sucker to the gym. Get up in the morning, put that on, and remember, when you homeschool your kids, you were literally born for this. My new sweatshirt says "Courage is contagious," and you can also find mugs, I think, from the Heidi St. John podcast. So check it out, you guys, HeidiSt.John.com. We love you. We want you to be encouraged and strengthened in your walk with the Lord. Walk with the Lord and in the power of his might. And I'm telling you what, you will live to see the goodness of the Lord at work in your life. We love you guys. Thank you for leaving reviews for the show and for visiting our sponsor. Remember, this show is being sponsored by my friends at the Functional Medical Institute right out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. You can visit the Functional I'm slurring my words. You can visit the Functional Medical Institute online today. So no matter where you are in the country, you can visit those guys. And I'm telling you what, They are hope dealers. They love Jesus and they want to see you feeling good again. So check out my sponsor at the Functional Medicine Institute. You can go to sherwood.tv to get connected with them. Don't forget to use the coupon code Heidi for 15% off your entire purchase. If you've not left a review for us, or if you haven't done it in a while, if you guys could leave reviews for this show and put the show on automatic download, it really helps us. We need your support here at the show. You can support us financially by going to the show notes today or going to HeidiSt.John.com, and you will see how you can become a monthly supporter of the Heidi St. John podcast. If this show is encouraging you, that is a way that you can encourage us and to help get the show out as often as we do it. I hope I see you guys out on the road really soon. Until then, I'm out of time for today. Have a great day, you guys. Get off the bench and onto the battlefield. And I will see you back here again at the intersection of faith and